What's going on, my people? This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. I'm GB. I got Brian and Coop with me as every time. What's up, guys?
Going on?
And look at B with that New York background going
Yeah.
on. Make me think of the New York video with Snoop.
Yeah.
Better than this tiny room in the hotel, so I figured I'd put something up there indicative of where I'm at.
I like it. So Brian's on location out there, Coop in South Central Hayward, GB in San Ho, 20 minutes from where the Niners won that NFC championship. So we're going to be talking about that, of course, the NFL playoffs as we get down to the Super Bowl now, talk about the NFL coaches as we kind of have some actual coaches hired, and then we'll get up out of here. So actually, I think let's start with the coaches because that kind of segs into the playoffs. So let's do that first.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with Raheem the Dream, man, getting the ATL job. So they hired Raheem Morris, which is awesome. He's actually the first Black coach in Atlanta Falcons history. So what do you guys think about Raheem Morris? What do you think about the job? What are kind of your thoughts on the situation?
Well, Brian, I want you to start because usually Black coaches don't get a second shot. It looks like he got one.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I do think that Atlanta was a city that if that was going to look to try and hire a diverse coach. I mean, obviously the fan base there is a little bit more diverse, and so it's great that he got another opportunity. I did not think that he was a horrible coach when he was coaching in Tampa Bay. I think
not at all.
Yeah, I think it was a horrible situation, and they were already preparing for what for things to come, and ultimately that meant he got kind of pushed out. But I actually think that the Atlanta job is a really good job. They've got some pieces, especially at running back, and a little bit of wide receiver. They need to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback, but they have a pick to do that, and so they can take multiple draft assets and trade up and get Raheem Morris or whoever the offensive coordinator, because Raheem Morris is typically a defensive guy.
Yep.
And try and find a way to get him the final piece. I don't think anyone's under the illusion that they have the quarterback that they need to win games there. Not to mention, this is probably one of the most winnable divisions right now, right? I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kind of backed into the playoffs. New Orleans could have very easily have made. As a matter of fact, they were in the driver's seat, and Tampa was right there too. So, and this is why there was so much talk about Belichick going there, because if he's going to break the record, this was the easiest path to doing that, because he had a division in which, you could suck up 9 games a year and not even be good. And so, even a little bit of decent coaching gets you to 9 wins. And that's not to say if Raheem Morris doesn't get 9 wins next year that he's bad. Yeah. It's just to say that if there's a division that you'd want to go into and be able to start working with and build a team, because there's not a lot going on, this is a great division to do it. I would hate to be in the North right now, where Minnesota is, and I'd hate to be out West, because that's where there's a lot of talent just generally. So, for as far as being able to pick a winner from a division standpoint, I think Raheem Morris got an excellent opportunity to coach a team that has some pieces, has draft picks so that they can go and get a quarterback, and it is a great division. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I think Raheem Morris made a good decision taking this Falcons job. For what you said, it's the division. It's a winnable division. Now, if he wants to stay employed, like Herm Edwards said, coaches get fired when they don't have quarterbacks. He's going to have to get a quarterback to stay employed. He does that. The Falcons, who've only won, 7 games each of the last 3 seasons, they can win more games. I think their offensive talent, though, is a little bit overstated and overvalued. Pitts, I don't really see much about Pitts. I think he's hurt a lot or something. Bijan Robinson's good. Algier's good, but he's going to need a little bit more over there. And I think, being that division is winnable, I think people will want to go to Atlanta and play for him. So I wish him the best. I just hope he gets a quarterback so he can be employed for a long period of time. The thing about the Atlanta Falcons, though, there's a guy there. He's a CEO of the Falcons. His name is Rich McKay. And he's in charge of a lot of football decisions, but yet he has no responsibility. So I really don't know exactly what he does. So if I'm Bill Belichick and I don't think Bill Belichick will report to a guy like him because, I'm not comparing myself
Mm,
to Bill Belichick, but I despise these type of people. I got a person I work with right now, and I've asked people, what exactly does he do here? It's like the Office Space line. What do you do? And I don't know what Rich McKay does. He's involved in business, involved in football. He doesn't win, and they fire coaches, but yet he still stays. So I don't know how that whole thing goes, but I wish Raheem Morris the best. I just really hope he gets a quarterback.
okay. Yeah. No. And to Brian, to your point, the Falcons, with everything that went on this year, won 7 games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a couple
Last
of
3 years, 7 games.
decisions. They lost to the Panthers, which shouldn't happen again. So that's what that is. So the next job, man, let's go slide over to the West with the LA Chargers. They got their GM. They hired one of the guys from the Ravens, but their coach, John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, who used to played for the Chargers. Back there now, they're who has it better than us now is the Chargers. So what do you guys think about Harbaugh? I mean, we know you guys
Man,
respect Harbaugh. I think we all do, but
yeah,
Harbaugh to the Chargers.
really good hire, man. He wanted the Minnesota Vikings job a couple years ago, but now he's a Charger. I mean, this guy's just a winner. I mean, just period. The 49ers had talent, but the problem with Singletary was the coach. You couldn't get anything out of him. When Harbaugh
It
got there, he
wasn't
got
his fault,
something.
man. You can't win with them guys. You can't win with them. He
You
told you.
can't win with. Yeah, that's what he said. Harbaugh proved that to be wrong. He won with them and did a lot of winning with that team.
Well, he got
And the
rid of
thing,
that particular player.
and the thing about Harbaugh is though he not just help players kind of reach their talent or maximum talent ability, but he also helped the 49ers because of his I guess his coaching. The 49ers were winning. They got funding for a new stadium, and the culture of the overall culture of the 49ers changed. I mean, it just changed the 49ers period. So with him being there, it's not just coaching the team, but what he also brings to the team that can't be quantified through players. So I think the Chargers got one hell of a coach, man. He's proven to win everywhere that he's went, and Glenn, you got to deal with him more than we do. So we'll see what he does with the Chargers. But some people have asked me, do I think he's going to keep Kellen Moore? And I said, hell no, he doesn't run that kind of offense. Jim
Yeah.
Harbaugh he likes to have a tough team, a tough offensive line, tough defensive line. He likes to run the football. He doesn't want to spread it out and throw it all over the field. He tried that once in Michigan with Josh Gaddis as an offensive coordinator, and then he fired him the next year. So I think he's going to have the same type of team he had with Michigan, with the 49ers, with Stanford. Just a quarterback can make some plays here and there, but basically, run the football and kind of control the clock. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm happy he's back in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think Kellen Moore went to the Eagles, right?
Oh, he
Yeah.
did. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
he already signed. What do you think about Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers, B?
I actually think this is a much tougher job than people are giving it credit for. So, if you think about, like Jason was just saying, the type of offense that he likes to run, he likes receivers that he can get, throw the ball to. He likes people who it's not a super aggressive passing game. He likes to run between the tackles. Well, Austin Eckler, he's not a between the tackles type of guy. He's a shifty. He's got talent. He knows what to do, but he's not the typical type of guy that you would have saw in Michigan or that you would have saw in 49ers. Same thing goes for Mike Williams, who's a little bit older. He's still playing well, but he's got a huge cap number coming up, and I think they have to do something to try and get underneath the
Yeah, their
cap.
cap is tough.
Yeah, and Mike Williams is very likely to be one of those cap casualties. So I think one of the biggest problems that he's got to overcome is he's already made it very clear he loves Herbert. He's said he has a man crush. I think the problem is going to be that once they figure out how to get underneath the cap, they're going to then have to rebuild the talent pool,
Yeah.
which it could be a thin for a little while. I don't think this would not take away from Harbaugh the coach if next year was a down year.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are going to look at this year and Herbert being healthy again and all this talent they have this year and try and compare that to next year's team. And if they do worse, not a high bar, but if they do worse,
Sure.
they're gonna try and say, oh, he isn't this, he isn't that. That is not going to be the case. Sometimes you got to knock things down to build something newer and better, and that's
Yeah.
going to be, I think, the situation with the Chargers. So and so many people are like, oh, he's got Herbert, he's got this, he's got that, and he got this. It's going to be so easy. He's going to run in there. They're gonna be contenders from the minute. from the beginning, I just don't think that this job lends itself. That's not to say that he can't do something. I just wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And as you know, Jason has mentioned, Harbaugh's a winning coach. He has a winning mentality. It's clearly a family thing because his brother's doing quite well, and it doesn't surprise me at all
No.
that, you know, the Chargers hire someone from Baltimore, and all of a sudden they get the other Harbaugh. You know, there's something to be said for that. So I have confidence that it will work out. That this was absolutely the right decision for the Chargers to actually spend some money. And you know, Spanos has been a joke for a really, really long time as an owner, and I think this at least quiets that noise. And maybe there'll even be a few Chargers fans in the stands next year, because you know, I've gone to a few of their games, and I always go there because I'm going to watch, you know, my team or someone else's team. Next year the Rams get the honor of my attendance purely for the reasons of visiting. Complete aside, I don't know if you guys have, I think I said this a little while ago, almost every single one of our kind of clique, you know, that we do on the group chat has a home game, or sorry, a road game against the Rams in SoFi next year.
Damn. Okay.
It's you know, literally,
Nice.
I think the only one might be Dallas that does it.
Nice.
Yeah, you made a good point on Austin Eckler. I don't think he'll be there because you're right. He's not his type of running back. Austin Eckler's more of a pass
He's
catcher.
expensive too.
Yeah, they've been talking about getting rid of him for
money.
years.
Yeah,
they've been talking about getting rid of him for years. I'm you know, of course, it's our division. It's one of those things like and we'll slide to our job next. But I think it's obviously a good hire. You know, we all like Jim Harbaugh. I think for us, I'm glad we did what we did because I think Antonio Pierce earned that job. He's changing the culture. He is a Raider. Get that energy in the building. Let's see a change and a shift in the type of play. And then to me, once you have that shift, if AP can't get it done in some years, then would be when, in my opinion, you try and get you know, go for another home run. But we had too many big names that we tried to get back to back that didn't work out. I do think Harbaugh will. The chart, you know, obviously, you know, it's another Super Bowl. At least every coach in our division is coached in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
2 have won the Super Bowl. So, you know, it's interesting, but I mean, it's kind of one of those things, like if you can, you know, be at the top of that division or even close, you're playing, you know, potentially over the course of time, playoff teams every week, damn near. So, you know, iron sharpens iron. So it'll be good. I'm excited about AP, as I've been saying this for years, so I don't really need to say too much about that. Antonio Pierce getting the Raiders job, I think is awesome. It's how it should be. He's, you know, and what I'm honestly hoping for is kind of the looking for the same thing that Dan Campbell did. So that's kind of how I'm seeing this is, you know, former player, energy, passion, knows football. I know Coop, you're like, you know, like guys to call plays, but I think kind of what you said before about Mike Tomlin, I thought was interesting. Him being a CEO of the team, keeping the team motivated, keeping everybody together, keeping stuff running smoothly. Also just, you know, motivation, et cetera. I'm not comparing AP to Tomlin. That's who, you know, you'd hope he'd be, but I think I'm really excited about it. I think we have, and the idea of him and Tom Telesco, who we hired at GM, not going through a rebuild, because I don't think this team is that far away from competing. I'm not saying we're, you know, a Super Bowl team, but I think a quarterback and a couple more pieces, and you kind of got to pay attention to the Raiders, especially if that defense plays like they did, or even somewhere close to how they did at the end of the year. So I'm really excited about it. What do you guys think about AP getting the Raiders job?
Go ahead, B.
Before we jump on that, I want to go back to one thought that I had about the Chargers. If I were them, after they figure out their salary cap situation, I'd be calling Atlanta, who has Tyler Algieri and Bijan Robinson, and they're going to clearly, you know, focus on Bijan Robinson. And Tyler Algieri is absolutely the type of running back that that Harbaugh would really like. And you know, they've got a little bit of a backlog there, a little bit too much going on. Anyways, you know, I love the fact that ultimately, and we were talking about this over the course of weeks, and I've honestly always said and thought that he should be given that opportunity. You know, it takes a lot to be able to go into an organization like the Raiders and capture the hearts of both fans, the players, the organization, a city which is, you know, is a kind of for the lack of a better phrase, a commuter city. People go in, people go out. And he's done all of that. And he's brought some excitement. Now, hopefully he brings some wins along with it. But the role of the head coach in most instances in traditional teams these days is to orchestrate. You have an offensive coordinator who's going to handle a lot of the stuff. You have a defensive coordinator who's going to handle a lot of the stuff. What you need is someone to kind of handle the orchestra, handle the orchestration, and bring it all together. And from the outside looking in, Antonio Pierce seems like he has that skill set, and that's a good skill set to bring to a team like the Raiders. And I wish him nothing but the best of luck. But I also, as you said, it's a really tough division. Mahomes, even when he had statistically one of his worst years ever, which was still very good,
Yeah.
and yeah, and here they are in a Super Bowl again, and that's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
Maybe Reed retires and things kind of fall apart or whatever, but right now, what we all are looking at and the situation we have, that's a really, really tough division, and probably will be. I mean, in spite of Denver, maybe they figure it out, but you have three teams in there with Herbert, Mahomes, and the Raiders that are going to be looking to try and do big things. It's definitely not the NFC South.
Yeah. Look, like I said before, I'm neutral on the decision. I don't think it's a bad hire. I don't think it's a great hire. I just have questions about Antonio Pierce and the Raiders overall. But one of the questions I don't have is his ability to lead, because he can definitely lead a team. That's without question. That you can't even dispute or argue that. But I do have four questions. I mean, number one, it's an offensive coordinator in the quarterback league, and the quarterback and Raiders currently don't have either. They don't have an OC or a quarterback. So how do the Raiders acquire a quarterback to be competitive in that division? Because the Denver Broncos and Chargers, who was that?
Yeah.
Who's a quarterback?
He's saying there is a quarterback on the roster.
There is a quarterback.
Go ahead.
No, but I mean, yeah, they have a quarterback, but not a quarterback to help.
We don't know yet.
Games, but
yeah.
And so that's just one question. Another question is, again, what Brian was saying, competing against Andy Reid, Harbaugh, and Peyton. You can't expect the Chargers and the Broncos to be down for a long period of time. That's more like that's not really a plan. That's a prayer. So you want to be able to really compete against them. And Pierce, he was just an assistant coach, a recruiting coordinator at Arizona State a couple of years ago. So it's really good that the Raiders brought in Tom Telesco, because he definitely needs an experienced GM, with a head coach that doesn't have, much experience. And Tom Telesco, from all accounts, even though he can't pick coaches, he can pick players pretty well. So We'll see how that works out. Also, I've seen this. We've all seen this. Coaches come in the middle of the season as opposed to a full season, gives the team a boost, and they win some games. But it's kind of different when you have to do it, from the beginning. You can't really sneak up on anybody. Everybody's 0-0. So I'm interested to see how the Raiders start out next year, because they finished very strong, this past season. Also, Antonio Pierce, he's a Raider through and through. It's like Mark Davis has like this collegiate alumni feel, and Antonio Pierce, he fits that Raider persona. It's kind of 70-ish. You know what I'm saying? Teams hate us, referee hates us, the league hates us, kind of that renegade mentality. And Mark Davis and Pierce, they still embrace that. Nobody really has that mentality anymore, because it's mainly about making money and having wins. But the Raiders still hold on to that. And
History.
to have Pierce on the team, he kind of still takes pride in that. Now, I'm not really with the renegade way anymore, or the Patriot way, but it works for the Raiders, and it's working for Pierce, and it works for Mark Davis, and it worked for the team this the second half of last season. So we'll see what happens next season. But I have questions. I hope it works out for him. I really do. It's not like I have to play the Raiders every year, what I'm saying? So really, I don't care. But Glenn, I know you'll be happy, and I know a lot of family members will be happy as well. So we'll just see what happens. But the main thing, Glenn and Brian, the one thing though, I can't trust any decision that Mark Davis makes. I don't know how any Raider fan can actually give Mark Davis the benefit of the doubt on anything. It seems like everything he touches just doesn't work out, and that would be the main thing that scares me, that trumps everything I just said. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how
why he should be okay there, though, is that he didn't make this decision. He even acknowledged it. He said, "No, I didn't make this decision. The fans made it for me, and the players made it for me." So, maybe maybe the advantage in this situation is we don't have to trust that he thought this through and thought it was the right idea. We can dismiss his decision making as being part of it. He just listened to a whole bunch of other people who were trying to make the decision for him. And it, maybe that gives them a better chance, because I agree with you. His history of making decisions has not been wonderful.
Well, he helped orchestrate the move, right? So that got them a new stadium.
No, he didn't. He didn't. That's Jerry Jones. No, he didn't orchestrate a damn thing. So he wanted to move. He had to wait.
But I'm saying, like, you can easily done what Al did for all them years and been renegade. I'm gonna do it how I want. He played the game. I'm saying he's made the decisions to get there. He tried to he tried to make the splash, bring the Patriot way because they won. Tried to bring back Gruden because he won. But making the move, having the move happen, he did put Antonio Pierce in a position as interim coach, because you have to make that decision as the owner too.
Yeah.
So I guess my point is, like, I'm seeing him try at least and making better decisions. Him firing McDaniels when he did that, to me, was a good decision. He didn't wait it out.
Do you know who did that though? There's two players on the team that have direct communication with Mark Davis. That's Max Crosby and Devontae Adams. They got Josh McDaniels fired.
Yeah, but you still have to do it.
Ones, and they're you still have to do it. And they're the main ones that
you
were
still own the team
for Pierce. Yeah.
Yeah, you still own the team, is what I'm saying. So you could have made other choices, but either way, you still make the choice. You're the head of your families, right? If your kids are saying we really want XYZ, you still have to say yes or no to it. So all I'm saying is, I'm seeing the choice. I'm seeing him trying. It looks like. Also, I have to look at, he does own a championship team. Everything he's done for the Aces is also part of ownership, and part of ownership to me is kind of like you were saying, being a CEO and stepping back. So.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, in the Aces case, he went out and he doesn't have anything to do with that team.
And that team just has ballers.
That's fair.
They have one of the best players too.
I mean, you're still like, if
NFL is a little bit different,
but it is what you're the owner of the team. I
appreciate, as a fan, you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's got enough history that the rest of the world doesn't need to. But I do think that this works out, and maybe he recognizes that his history isn't so wonderful, and that's maybe part of the reason why he is willing to step back, as you were just talking about, and listen to some other people, like his players and like the management team for the Aces and so on and so forth. At some point in time, people do have a moment of clarity. Like, okay, I make bad choices. Guess what? You don't. I'm going to start. My best decision is going to be to rely on whoever that person is for them.
Yeah, I also read every article related to the Raiders every day, all year. Not every, but quite a bit. So I also know the brain trust and people he trusted, and we're like, it's not like he's doing everything on his own, but either way.
Well, Glenn, he better be like Raheem Morris. He better get a quarterback. Got to get a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm curious because with Telesco, and then we're the 13th pick. The Chargers have the 5th pick. So we'll see what happens there. He's moved, we'll see what happens. I think there's some QBs out there. There's some QBs who are associated with Pierce even in college. So we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see the OC is going to be, but
the quarterback he had in college left. Jaden Daniels went to LSU, got an offensive coach, and won the Heisman. At Arizona State, he was trash.
Yeah, but that's fine. Either way, you coached with him. He was there at the game. Came to the Raider game, etc. So I know either way, whatever.
That'd be cool if he
anything Raiders is getting hated on. I get it. I know what show I'm on. So
no, it ain't getting hated on.
Wait a minute.
Mark Davis does not have a good history.
There's literally been no hate. We both said I've said nothing but nice things about that hire.
Yep. No, I said I'm neutral.
Nice
I got you guys, but I've known you guys since I was 3 years old, just about. And you guys are not. Oh, this is terrible. Very subtle.
You get
subtle stiff.
It's not a terrible hire at all.
Sorry, dude. No, you're not getting anything on this one.
Yeah, that dude can lead. There's nothing terrible about that.
I've literally been on the Antonio Pierce bandwagon from the minute he became the coach over there. So yeah.
Got it. The owner's terrible. All that. Anyway, let's keep it. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. So you got the Commanders job. They don't have a coach yet. We thought Ben Johnson from the Lions was going there. He does not. Coop kind of wanted to throw that out there because
I really never knew until they said it during the Detroit 49ers game that he was going to supposedly get that job. I don't know why he would want to go to that organization and work with Sam Howell, but I mean, when they already traded, Young doesn't really do anything, but they traded Montez. So they were just getting rid of players. It seems like that's an ultimate rebuild job. And I don't know why he would leave the Detroit situation to go to such an uncertain situation in Washington. So I think it's a smart decision by him. I was saying, I don't think I said this earlier, but what's his name? The coach for the Houston Texans, DeMeco Ryan, he got offers for 2 straight years and turned them down. And this is what I always faulted Hugh Jackson for. Just because somebody wants you, that don't mean you have to jump and take that job, especially in his situation. There was no chance he was going to succeed with that job. You kind of want to, get in the right entry point. I'm not saying it's going to be a great job and all the dominoes are going to line up, but you at least want a starting point or something to work with. And maybe he felt that he didn't have that starting point, or maybe he didn't have a say in certain things. I don't know. Maybe details will come out later, but I don't think it was a bad decision to skip on the Washington job and stay with Detroit, because it looks like they got something brewing there, and they could probably run that division maybe for a couple of more years and try to make a run.
Definitely. B.
Yeah, this is real easy. I mean, look. You'd think that we hate on the Raiders, but we absolutely hate on the Washington football franchise. I mean, that whole organization is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
The owner has shown absolutely no loyalty. He's only been there for a minute, but he's shown no loyalty to the people who were there. It's rotating chairs. They've got all types of problems throughout the entire organization, and I think Ben Johnson made a very hard, like difficult decision to not follow the money, the opportunity, and is hoping that Dan Campbell and the rest of the team can bring him back into a nice playoff run and give him a better opportunity. Because this is one of those ones where he would have a sign on his wall of his office that said the best job in the NFL is a fired coach, because no matter the minute you start, you're on borrowed time in an organization like the Washington football team.
Yeah.
So I think it was a hard decision. It got to be tough to walk away from life-changing money. There's no I'm sure Detroit will take care of him. I'm sure he'll be a hero around the city for at least the next year or season. Eminem came out immediately and said he, is going to not write the diss track because he's not live. It's
yeah.
Anyways, but it was a hard decision. I give him a lot of kudos, because that's not something that most assistants have the wherewithal to choose and stay put. So
was he offered the job?
Yeah,
no.
they said.
My understanding is that he was the leader in the clubhouse, and also was in play for the Seahawks job. But my understanding is that I don't know if it got as far as an offer, but maybe Jason's read otherwise, that it was imminent. And then he pulled his name out, and maybe he knew that it wasn't going to go his way, and so he pulled before. But the way I understand it is, he was the prohibitive favorite to be the Washington football team's head coach.
So the way I saw it was, it's his if he wanted it. Man, it looks like he didn't want it. So I don't know who they're going to get, but
yeah, tough job.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Seahawks and Washington, and if you remember, I said a while back, I still think that Belichick could end up in Washington.
Yeah. I would think that, because I don't see Belichick as a West Coast guy, so I never really thought he would be a Charger guy. The Atlanta thing was kind of weird to me, but Washington, he's an East Coast guy. That's right up his alley. I can see him taking that job and trying to get 15 wins in 4 years with that franchise.
It's always it also makes sense to interview.
Subtle.
Yeah, well, that's fine. It also makes sense to interview, just to brush up on skills too, and just get back. And he hasn't interviewed for a job in 20-something years, so we'll see what happens there. And then the last job we're going to talk about is his old job, the Patriots, which hire Gerard Mayo, former linebacker, right, to coach the team. That's 4 black coaches in this hiring cycle, right? Raheem, AP, 3, and Gerard.
They said it's the most diverse hiring class, obviously for obvious reasons, but all time in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have any thoughts. I still think the Patriots are they don't really have anything there. Bill Belichick kind of left that cupboard bare, but I'm happy that Gerard Mayo got the opportunity. And I've been hearing for 2 years that he was going to be the coach in waiting. So this hire doesn't really surprise me. So
they got the 3rd pick too. So,
so let's see
they don't move. Yeah, they don't move. They got the 3rd pick, so they can definitely get themselves a quarterback.
Yeah, I think Drake May's up there.
Any thoughts? Any thoughts, B? No.
No, it's just a matter of what they do with the 3rd pick. I mean, that's That's ultimately, and like I said, if Drake May ends up there, which is kind of the person that a lot of people think of will end up there, um, it just he seems to fit the Patriot style. I'm not a big May fan, but I
Right.
totally understand that player on that team being something that could make sense if they're going to kind of continue to play that same style of football.
Who's has the second pick? Do you guys know?
Washington.
Yeah, Washington.
Washington. I hope Drake May doesn't go there. Okay. All right.
And then
Jaden
Chicago
Daniel.
first. Yeah. So okay, word. Well, so that's the coaches. Let's go straight. Let's stay in the league, man. AFC and NFC championship are done. I'm so excited about this Super Bowl matchup.
Oh yeah, I guess they could put that whole Super Bowl color argument to rest now.
Yeah, which was foolish anyway. KC and the Ravens. Shout out to Uncle Lou too. I watched the game with him and Spotting Baron and some of the OGs while I was out there in LA while Brian was on the way to New York. Chiefs, Ravens. I don't know what they were doing on the offensive end. Chiefs defense looked good. They scored. They did everything they always do to win that game. What's your guys take away from Chiefs Ravens?
So I didn't get to actually sit down and watch the game until just before before halftime. About halftime. Landed at that point in time and was walking through Newark. I came in and flew in through New Jersey. And one thing that struck me was just how many people were rooting for Baltimore in Newark. And really what they were doing is they were rooting against KC.
Right.
More than anything else. But I got to see the game. The thing that struck me was that this game plan was garbage. I mean, it was such. The Baltimore Ravens have won consistently. They were the best team in football because of their running game, and they would rush the ball the most times. And I know everyone wants to say I do not give two craps about how good KC's defense is. You cannot stop doing what you do because you're afraid of somebody being able to stop it. Let them freaking stop it. And Baltimore threw out the cards and said, we're only going to run, 8 times with running backs in an entire game that led the league in rushing attempts and rushing yardage yet again. Lamar Jackson had his 8 for 54, pretty typical. That's not a problem or anything there, but this game plan was garbage. It is why they lost. I will hear a whole bunch of other stuff and blame Mar and blame this and blame that. They lost the minute they created that game plan on Tuesday or whatever day that they decided to put that playbook in that called for, trying to do 37 pass attempts and only 8 run attempts from the running back. It was pathetic. And then, Zay Flowers, and there were so many other things, right? Like Zay Flowers is getting off. He was doing his thing. He gets all the way down there. He ridiculously stupid taunting penalty.
Young boy stuff.
That pulls him back.
Then fumbles it.
I just, fumbles it. I mean, he did everything he possibly could to, take the small chances that they had and throw them away. And look, Lamar Jackson threw a pass in the triple coverage and got a pick. Not a great play.
Game. Yeah, it was into the game. Yep.
Yeah, he was pressing a little bit, but that's because they were pressing a little bit and had thrown it for 30. He had 37 pass attempts. They didn't run their game plan that had worked for them all season long. They were 13-3, had the best record going into the playoffs, and this game plan was complete and utter garbage. Jason, go ahead.
And they lost by 7. The Chiefs didn't score in the second half.
No, I mean, all they had to do was do any of the things that they normally do average.
Yep.
And they would have
10 was the final score. They'd have been in the Super Bowl. Coop.
Man. So the Colin Kaepernick, the Tim Tebow, the Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, and Baker Mayfield crowds, they all hate me. They do. If Mitch Trubisky and Zach Wilson had a crowd, they would hate me too. So a new crowd's about to hate me.
It's pretty much in general, even your own team's quarterbacks.
And so there's a new crowd that's about to hate me. That's the Lamar Jackson crowd. Because they're not going to tell you the truth. So they don't give Lamar Jackson that Brock Purdy type of energy. So since they don't give him the Brock Purdy energy, looks like I'll do it. Okay. So yeah, Lamar, and it's all true. He had a drop pick six, a fumble, and people are still lying to themselves, talking about he's a pocket quarterback. Six playoff
Quarterback
games,
hater.
6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 57% passing. His only 2 playoff wins in a 6-year career is against rookie CJ Stroud and Ryan Tannehill, who threw 4 interceptions that game. Any quarterback on the other side would have won that game. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I ain't hearing nobody say anything about how bad Lamar Jackson plays in the playoffs. You can suck us hating all you want. It's the truth, and you can't dispute what I'm
It's
telling
not
you.
the truth just because you say it.
But
Jason, stop that.
you
Stop that.
can't
Stop saying that.
dispute
It's not.
stats just because you say it's not true. 6
There are
touchdowns,
stats on all
6
sides of
interceptions.
all things.
Jeez,
You say one side of
6
them, and then
touchdowns.
all facts.
I'm just telling you his stats in the playoffs, just like I tell you Jimmy G's. You can
all the
dispute
other
them all you
stats.
want. It's
Talk
true.
about when he gets the MVP next week
Mu-
at Brock Purdy. What is it?
I don't care. He can 21
He,
touchdowns. Great season. Yeah.
coincidentally,
MVP.
he got the MVP the year that the Chiefs played the Niners the first time. Go ahead.
Oh, for real?
Mhm.
Oh,
The
interesting.
pandemic.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it was much ado about nothing. Dumbest thing in the world to take a player who's not really a pocket passer and make him into an A-level passer. It's not going to happen. 37 passes. That was just stupid. Why would you sit Lamar Jackson back 35 times to pass the ball? 3 early down running back runs the entire game, for 17 yards against the number 28 run defense. You should have ran the ball against them. Yes, Zay Flowers had a touchdown fumble. Ravens had like a clothesline penalty or something like that. And Lamar threw an interception to a guy that was never open in triple coverage. So you can say it's hating all you want. You can't argue with the stats. In the playoffs, he doesn't get it done. He's lost against Allen, Tannehill, Rivers, and Mahomes. When it's the playoffs and he's playing against a good quarterback or a decent quarterback, he's losing because that's what he does. It's not hating. It's the truth. You have a 6-game sample. 6-game sample. He doesn't get it done. Lamar Jackson crowd, you can hate me until your guy actually, win some games. You pump him up because of his fantasy rushing stats. How come he can't do this in the playoffs? Why does he only have 2 playoff wins in 6 years? Why does Brock Purdy have the same amount of playoff wins as him and Dak if Brock is so bad? I'm just saying. You can go ahead and defend your boy if you want. CJ Stroud and Ryan Tannehill.
Ayuk.
Yeah.
Kittle.
Yeah. Odell Beckham, new offense. Yeah. Gus Edwards.
They changed up.
Zay Flowers.
That was
just saying.
That was
got
foolish.
players. Everybody wants to play with them, right?
I'm just hurt that they went out like that because I did not. If you're not, this is what become one of those matchups like the Chiefs. You gotta, greatness is when you're seeing it, right? You're seeing it while it's happening. But the Patriots did it. Dynasties are great when you're a fan of the dynasty. Otherwise, you're kind of. I've seen this story 6 times in a row at this point.
But Glenn, Baltimore scored 7 points at home. You supposedly got an MVP. You got this is the most vulnerable KC. Bro. But this is the most vulnerable that KC's ever been.
Yep.
They went on the road against Buffalo and Baltimore. People talk, oh, Baltimore defense. They do this, they do that.
They did.
Lamar was 15.
You didn't talk about the Baltimore defense.
Baltimore
you put it all on Lamar Jackson.
The Baltimore defense. They didn't score. They didn't score in the second half. They didn't score in the second half, so they did.
Yeah,
Baltimore
they did. So they did their thing. So therefore, the offense couldn't score more than 1 touchdown there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lamar Jackson leads that offense. Yeah. So I did talk about him.
He calls the plays and puts in the game plan too.
Mahomes is throwing to a rookie from SMU, Pacheco, a 7th rounder, and 33-year-old Travis Kelce. And there was no point in that entire game I thought Baltimore would win that game.
33-year-old Travis Kelce.
That's right.
First time I've ever heard someone mention him by his name.
Yep. There you go. And a rookie.
I hate everything about all of these. So
everybody, well, you can root for Baltimore next year.
I've never been quiet in my hate. I'll keep mine on the 100. But
I'm just saying, man, Lamar Jackson MVP.
I can't believe they never looked like they were in it. They looked. The Ravens they looked listless, man. They just weren't there. Yeah. I don't know why they did that. I was. Hey, shout out to where I was, man, up in Baldwin Hills, though. Look, great view of LA, eating some shrimp and grits. Shout out
to when you got the MVP, you could throw 37 times, man. He's the MVP.
That was terrible. So he won the same year that you guys played the Chiefs and lost. Interestingly enough, I was looking at, and let's get to this Niners. Niners beat the Lions 34-31, comeback for Purdy. I was looking at the stats. Purdy has 200 more yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 less picks than Jimmy G had in 2019 when he went into the Super Bowl. Very similar stats, which would also, if you play one more game, would actually be one more game of stats. His stat line in the last game was...
Did you see the pass attempts, though? for Jimmy and then Purdy.
I'm just going off the
That's how the
stats, bro.
results.
I'm
Oh
looking at
yeah.
the
The
results.
yards.
Also, and
Yeah.
this isn't a like I ain't got no Purdy hate. This is a interestingly enough to me, it's looking very similar as when y'all went in last time. No Tyreek Hill. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's interestingly enough, very much, a lot of the same, a lot of the offensive pieces. You add Ayuk,
Yeah.
who's been a stud. Purdy's similar. His stats in the Lions game where it's 256, a touchdown and a pick, which sounds very much like a previous Niner quarterback in championship games. So I'm curious about that. I think let's see what you think, man. I'm kind of throwing my stuff out there first, but the 49ers win the dang game, come back down 14 in second half and played a hell of a game to win it. So what were you guys? What
I
you guys think?
mean, look, I understand that, a lot of 49 fans are happy. I mean, I get it. But I mean, still that defense, it worries me. I mean, like I said, it's
Oh,
overrated.
definitely.
But from week 11 on, the 49ers defense is ranked number 22. It's not a good defense. Their third down defense, they told you on the telecast, is 25th. They got all their money in their defensive line, and nobody is producing except Nick Bosa, who had the only 2 sacks the last game. Last 5 games, 7 sacks. Chase Young, that dude should be benched. I didn't send you guys some.
I
This
think
dude
they
on
did.
on
Yeah.
that on that
I
on
think
that
they're
touch
talking about it.
yeah, on that touchdown run, it's like this
I
dude
seen
even
it.
try to even, whatever,
Yeah.
get him. And the thing is, got to give Kyle, they're playing against the number 25 pass defense. They can't defend the pass. They're number 3 against the run. And on these early downs, he keeps running. And McCaffrey averages 2.9 yards a damn carry. You're not going to be able to just run whenever you want against that defense. You're going to have to pass. But when that defense gave up a 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 18, I'm not going to lie. During the first half, I was like, the damn Detroit Lions are going to the damn Super Bowl. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the second half, I mean, we all saw what happened. The offense got going. Purdy, he made plays. I mean, the NFL playoffs is about making plays. It ain't about winning games and rushing touchdown fantasy stats. It's about winning big games. And Purdy made plays in the second half, and then
With his
the
feet
offense
running.
kind of got rolling with his feet running, yeah, and passing as well. I don't know any game managers that's thrown for 5,000 yards total in the season, 35 touchdowns. I guess Purdy's the first one that's a game manager. But his mental toughness, I like. He had a terrible game against Baltimore when he threw 4 interceptions or something. And in the next few games, he had 12 touchdowns and no interceptions. And this is what the NFL is about. It's about mental toughness, playing quarterback, and also handling adversity. Kansas City had adversity too. They got their butts whipped by the Raiders. I mean, it was bad, and everybody was thinking to
He threw
themselves, "Oh,
for
this
42. He threw for 4,200, 4,280.
who?" No, I'm talking
Purdy,
about
right?
throughout. No, I'm talking about throughout the entire season. If it was 5,005 yards so far and 35 touchdowns, if you include the playoffs.
Including the
But
playoffs. I
yeah,
see what
but
you're doing there. Yeah.
no, I mean it's only 2 games. I mean, he didn't throw for 900 yards, so he still threw over 4,000 yards. But the simple fact, though, he tore his whole damn elbow, and then he comes back, and now he's going to Super Bowl. So I mean, good for him. But I'm not going to say I'm overconfident at all, because Kansas City defense
Can be.
is very good. I've talked about them the whole second half of the season. Is very underrated, and they've been shutting down some good quarterbacks and some good teams. But if the 49ers cannot expect to play a first half like that they did against Green Bay and Detroit, to do it against Kansas City and still win the game, because that's just definitely not going to happen. So I don't know exactly what they need to do, but the players definitely on defense need to produce, or else they'll get ran out of there on the Super Bowl. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But from the Detroit side, a lot of people talking about, oh boy, going in for 4th down. Now, the first time when they were up 24-10 in late in the first half, I would have kicked that field goal to make it a 3-score game. But the second time he went for it, I would have done the same thing. They just didn't get it. And Jared Goff under pressure, he's number 28 in the NFL, and I don't understand why they didn't pressure him until the second half. But they ended up, I guess, working out. I think Detroit blew this game just like Green Bay blew the
They
game. The
did.
49ers should definitely be out of the playoffs. They shouldn't even, been this far. But one thing, though, and I'll let you go, Brian, I want to talk about is the whole analytics aspect. They were talking about, oh, yeah, the analytics say you're supposed to go for it on 4th down, and this is what I didn't like about Moneyball. The thing about Moneyball is momentum and clutch have no impact. It's just all about the stats, and that's nonsense. I hate when people just look at stats. You got to look at the game. Jalen Hurts had a good statistical game. He didn't complete 1 3rd down or 1 4th down against Tampa Bay. That's not a good game. That's bad. So when he went for it at that time in the first half, that was a really bad decision. I don't care what the analytics say, because you could go up 3 scores on the road against a team against the San Francisco 49ers with a Super Bowl berth on the line, you have to kick that field goal to go up 27-10 in the halftime and kind of put, kind of deflate the 49ers. Instead, they didn't get it, and then that momentum kind of shifted. So,
Yep.
I don't know. I just think the 49ers got lucky.
He did go for it all year, so I like.
Yeah, I know.
He
Right.
didn't change
That's
up.
right.
like
But
that he
he
didn't
didn't
change
change up. But the
Yeah.
thing is, though, it should be situational, Glenn. It shouldn't be by
100%.
percentages. You need to look
Honestly,
at the game and
I
what's on
felt
the
the
line.
same in the Dallas game, bro. They should have won that game because once he didn't get it, they should have kicked there. And I don't know what that had done. This game being in Detroit, I think would have been huge for them. But go ahead. Go ahead, B.
Yeah. Go ahead, B.
I'll start with where you guys were leaving off, and that is, people can't expect that Dan Campbell's going to change in
I'm
a
glad he didn't.
5-minute span in the court. Like, he got there by being the guy who puts it on his team, gives them an opportunity, and goes for it. That's why everyone loves the guy himself. That's why the team loves him. So while I absolutely understand that situational football under normal circumstances absolutely called for him to kick it, there was no point where I thought while watching that game that he was going to kick it. Like, I just knew, like, that's what he was going to do. That's what he does. That's why people love him. And he will take the daggers for having made that decision, and they'll try it again. The Detroit Lions were in nobody's NFC championship game preseason. They did an outstanding
100%.
job. They took the most talented football team in football right now in the San Francisco 49ers all the way to the limit. They got it to one of the largest leads that's ever been overcome in an NFC title game. And so nothing but respect. They put up 31 points. It's not like the offense was bad. It just wasn't enough, especially in the second half.
Yep.
And most importantly, the 49ers, I don't know what speech coach gave at the halftime, but it worked. And the 49ers came out with some focus and played very solid football. Everybody, including Brock Purdy, played very solid football. And the most talented team prevailed, relying on their talent. I do think that there's a lot of things for them to be worried about when it comes to their defense in the Super Bowl. I mean, you took a big chance to bring Chase Young, and this is exactly where he's supposed to be a factor.
Yeah.
And he's just not. And maybe he gets his head together with 2 weeks, and everybody talking about how they would bench him, and he goes and has a moment of clarity and comes back and says, all right, coach, I'm ready. Because he can be a difference maker, especially with both him and Bosa trying to wreak havoc on those things. But right now, and in that game, he was not only a non-factor, he was detrimental to the success of the San Francisco 49ers. When he was on the field, he was, if you had a PER or plus minus, he was definitely in the minus of all of that. Like, he was a problem for his team and not for the other team. And hopefully they can get that figured out before the Super Bowl. But hats off to Brock Purdy, who stuck with it. Coming back in the second half of a game where you were being beat. It's not a matter. It's not
Thoroughly.
like they were thoroughly in all facets of the game. They were being beat. And to be able to change your mentality over the course of a few minutes, which is halftime, and come back out and I'm sure the coach said something like, play the game like it's 0-0 and we're going out there to try and stomp on them, and all that kind of stuff that they say. But to be able to actually do those things is difficult. And everybody on that team were able to do it. I will not get into the whole Brock Purdy of it all, but I will just say this: McCaffrey is freaking outstanding.
Oh yeah, he's extremely important.
He is freaking outstanding. I mean, the talent that guy has, and we've all known this even before he got to the 49ers.
Oh yeah.
The one difference was health that he has for the most part enjoyed for this season. He hasn't had any major stretches where he had
2 seasons.
Last year
since he got there.
Yep.
So I don't know
think
if
he
the
didn't want to
training
play in
group,
Carolina.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't make. I'm like, maybe the trainers and 49ers are better, but he took some
Even his
serious
own health,
injuries,
what he did to his body, like, yeah, he was a
knees.
difference maker in the second half. You can't tackle him. It gets, you're getting tired on the defense, and he's getting stronger. That always helps.
That's where I would say that's how running backs make impacts is late in the game when you give him the carries. I understand that he may only be getting a few yards per carry early, but it wears down people, and then you get those gashes, and then his average is what 4.5 or something like that by the end of the game. It's because as time goes on and opportunities arise, and a player is fast, shifty, talented, and determined. Because when he gets to the line and there's 3 or 4 guys that are trying to take him down, I would put 4-on-1 and still take McCaffrey at the goal line, because he just digs in, and the heart. I mean, he is outstanding. He is really, really great.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Ben Johnson, offense coordinator of Detroit Lions. Everything he called in the first half worked. Everything. Run, pass, crossing routes, it didn't matter. Everything worked. I'm like,
Jared Goff
damn, this
good
guy is
putting
good.
passes on the money.
This guy, he didn't have no pressure, but you still got to make the passes, and he made those passes. So I got to give credit to Ben Johnson. I also got to give credit to Brock Purdy, man. That 17-point comeback, that's good, a confidence builder.
Huge.
And for him, and then McCaffrey actually, he came out late in the game for that last touchdown. Elijah Mitchell got it. I never seen him really come out like that. But McCaffrey is, I feel validated, because I said the difference between him and Reggie Bush is McCaffrey will be better because he runs between the tackles. And a lot of people didn't like me when I said that. But it's obvious that McCaffrey is a much better player than Reggie Bush. Not that Reggie Bush is bad, but I just thought that McCaffrey had a better
in the league
skill set. And because he was at Stanford and he was white, I thought maybe he wasn't really getting his due credit. But it's good to see him. And I think if the Niners don't win this year, I don't think they'll win again with this group. So they have to seal the deal. We'll talk about that later. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
We'll do the Super Bowl matchup next week.
A couple weeks,
as we get closer to it. I will say, man, I've been looking at it. I've seen this story before, in that I'm not saying Brock can't play. I think Brock can play. A couple things for me is I'm seeing, and this, it's saying directed at. I don't know if I want to do this on the Hogwash. I'll wait for that. I'll wait for that. But my main thing is I started looking at the stats, and Purdy has very similar stats to what Jimmy had the same year he went to the Super Bowl. Now, sometimes we want to look at stats, but then we also want to look at the game when it benefits us, but don't look at it now. They're very similar stat lines, very similar ratings in the games. Even in the first NFC Championship, if y'all remember, they ran on Green Bay like 1 million times. Jimmy only threw 8 passes. Brock got hurt in his first NFC Championship with the Niners, so he threw 4. Jimmy threw 30 passes. Brock threw 31. I think Brock completed 4 more, had a pick and an interception. Jimmy had 2 touchdowns and a pick and a touchdown. Jimmy had 2 touchdowns and a pick. I'm saying all this to say, I don't know if it's, I'm not saying history repeats itself or anything, but it very much looks the same.
Now, when you say you're looking at, go ahead. No, I'll let you finish.
No, I'm just saying that I'm not saying Brock is bad. I'm just saying this looks very similar to the season that Jimmy had, from a stat standpoint, right? Now you could say, did you watch the games? You see the games. Well, I know both players went to the Super Bowl and faced the Chiefs and faced a Patrick Mahomes team with Andy Reid with a good defense. So you'll get to see everything you said about Lamar too. I think is going to be interesting. Anytime he plays a good quarterback, he loses, because we'll get to see what Brock does. Because so far he's played Jordan Love and Jared Goff. I'd assume you'd take him over both of them, but you would not take him over Mahomes.
No, hell no. So no, definitely not.
I think this is, this obviously Super Bowl, this is when the test comes, but I just think I've seen a lot of people are almost like the Niners are a number 1 seed, right? And I'm seeing fans trying to play up this underdog story. I'm kind of like, you guys have been the number 1 seed all year.
Like, Brock Purdy's definitely an underdog though against Brock Purdy's definitely an underdog.
Oh, definitely now, but let's not, the Niners aren't this big underdog that's had it so tough all year and people have been hating us and counting us out. Like, that's not the case. So I'm just saying, we'll see what happens.
So when you say the stats are the same, yes, the stats are the same. Well, maybe more. Jimmy threw a couple more interceptions, had a couple of touchdowns, but what's the
2-2,
not
1 game.
Right, but you're talking about playoff stats. You're not talking about regular season. I'm talking
about regular season to get him here, because we have to base off the regular season. Brock's played 2 games. So Jimmy went to the NFC Championship too.
Right. So if you're looking at regular season, at the advanced stats, Jimmy doesn't come close to Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy was number 1 in all the advanced stats for most of the season. Deep ball percentage,
Yeah, looking at
under pressure, all these things. He's number 3 under pressure. I mean, Jimmy was never close to this, so he didn't throw these deep passes and stuff like that.
I get it. I'm not saying Brock's bad.
No.
I'm
I'm
the
not
numbers are very close.
The numbers are close, but the difference between Brock Purdy and Jimmy G is Brock Purdy makes plays, Jimmy doesn't, and that's the difference between both quarterbacks.
I will say
Jimmy would not have come back down 17.
You know what? You know what also happened though? That pass that was caught off of the face mask that Brandon Ayuk caught.
That was a perfect throw
into the defender.
No, it wasn't. It was a pass interference. He bumped Ayuk off his route. I'll show it to you.
Fam, I watch a lot of football, my boy. I'm a Raider fan. Remember, I know how penalties go. It was a perfect throw.
He bumped Ayuk on his route. That's why the referee threw the flag. He bumped him. Ayuk was looking at the ball like this, and dude bumped him and slowed him up. That was a perfect throw.
I'm just saying I've seen Brock overthrow too. All I'm saying is Brock is the golden boy until he's not. So I hope he's keeping his mind right because I've seen this story is all I'm saying. Niner fans love a QB until you get to this game. Don't let him throw a pick or two. And what I'm hoping is he plays well. I still think the Chiefs can win, but I know it has all the makings of. I'm just saying I've seen this story a lot of times with the Niner quarterbacks. That's all.
I'm not going to get into the whole Brock Purdy conversation, but the difference. I'll say this one thing. The difference between Brock Purdy and Jimmy G was
what?
Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Mostert was balling.
Hey, I never saw Ayuk and Debo and George Kittle with these stats with Jimmy at quarterback, but okay, if you
they
say
weren't
so.
there.
Okay.
I would say Ayuk
Debo was there. Yes, he was.
No, Ayuk is coming to his own.
Like he's only coming into his own last year.
We got 2 weeks to talk about this, but it's been interesting to see is all I'm saying. It's very much.
Those are 2 totally different quarterbacks. One guy throws deep and down the sideline. Other guy just throws still in the middle.
And you're still comparing them.
That's how it goes. I'm seeing the numbers are close. And the only reason I bring it up, Coop, honestly, is just because if this game does not go that way and Brock at all falters, it's going to all be on the quarterback. I just saw it happen.
So do you really think that fans will blame Brock Purdy, like all Brock Purdy, if this game, if the 49ers don't win? Because he's pretty much overachieved in his career right now. I mean, he can be done right now in his career. I don't think so.
Why'd they lose last year?
Who?
Why'd the Niners lose the NFC Championship last year?
Who the Niners lose to? I forgot.
They lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship, but why?
Yeah, we couldn't throw a forward pass for 3 quarters.
So it's Brock Purdy's fault, is what we're saying.
No, it ain't. We couldn't throw a forward pass.
Got it. But I'm just saying it's going to fall on the quarterback because this is what
nobody blamed Brock Purdy
200 times, and
plenty of people do.
As a
nobody has blamed Brock Purdy for that loss.
As someone that likes to stir the pot, I'm very curious to see because if you guys don't win, what that means to Shanahan, what that means to Brock, and all this stuff. So I'm very curious.
It means more to Shanahan because they would say Shanahan can't win the big one. That's
so many times, bro.
But it's the same thing happened with Andy Reid. They always say, I always thought Andy Reid was a really good coach in Philly, but they said he can't win the big one. And then he got Mahomes and then he won. So we'll see.
So I'm very curious, man. But we're coming up on an hour.
Well, Glenn, just before we go, I'm gonna tell you, if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, people are still going to say he didn't do anything. It's all Christian McCaffrey. So it's not like he's ever going to get props.
The goal depend on the game.
The goal post is always going to get moved with Brock Purdy.
Christian McCaffrey or all Brock Purdy?
It's not.
I think
it's
the problem is that when people, and you're one of those people who sit there and talk up Brock Purdy nonstop and forget that he has the best running back in the game on there, who's having one of the best seasons.
I don't talk nonstop about him. No, he's just not as bad as people think. That's all.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying
he's better in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson.
The Niners' favorite, every Niners fan's favorite quarterback is the one they got at the time who's winning until they don't win.
Well, we'll see if they lose. Yeah. We'll see.
I mean, hey, I'm not rooting against y'all. Yeah. I'm not rooting against y'all. I don't
curious.
Know
who to root for. I'm rooting for the refs. Like I got to deal with the Swifty terrors in my house and
I had
terrors. So that's hella funny.
Hey, I had it this week. I was there with the family because Brian was in New York and I was on
Swifty terrors. I never heard that. That's
shout out to my sister-in-law. I was there like, what is this shirt? Taylor's boyfriend shirt, 87, and I'm like, I can't do this. I couldn't do it. So
we know we're having people over for the Super Bowl, and she's already like, all right, well, I think I'm going to invite my friends over, and we're going to do. I'm like, okay, great. And she's like, when she started talking about decorating my house in KC stuff, I was like, nope, full stop. You can have KC barbecue. You You can do all type. You can wear all the garb you want.
Play Casey in the Sunshine Band, but we ain't doing no
right,
things.
right. KC Masterpiece Barbecue. You can have all that, man.
Everything you want. Yeah, you can. But what we're not gonna do is decorate.
And what I'm not gonna forget is Swifty Terror. That's what I'm not gonna forget.
Bruh,
Wow,
bro.
that's hella funny.
It's Glenn will tell you, man. It's rough up in there. It's she's
Shout
the
out
most
to Dre.
enthusiastic fan.
And now she actually was watching football in the past, so she actually knows what's going on. So I'm like, all these years, you know me, I watched football at your house for 20 years almost? No, 15 years since I lived with y'all. Nothing. Now you're a fan against me. Oh man, I'm hating, bro. I'm telling y'all now, I'm getting a tea time for sure, because I'm definitely playing golf Sunday. 100%.
Are you not watching that game?
If it's not raining. I mean, I'm gonna play early because I want to get the full 18. The sun's still not out, but hey, if I miss some of it, fantastic.
Man, there's some Raider fans out here. You probably know that's pissed that the Kansas City Chiefs and 49ers are playing in the damn stadium.
The Chiefs are in the Raiders. They have to be in their facility. That's where the conference who's hosting the Super Bowl. You practice in the home team stadium.
Right.
Now, the only thing I will say, I'm hoping that some of them Chiefs players like, man, it's nice over here. That's all.
They want to come.
That's all.
They want to come.
Yeah.
Well, all you gotta do is make their locker room look more lavish. That's all.
Bro,
that's all you gotta do.
They're nice already in the stadium, but anyway. Last couple segments, man. We're about at an hour. Always a pleasure doing the show with you guys. Starting off with Hogwash. Brian created this segment I think a year ago now. It's been a while on something that was he said something was a bunch of hogwash, and we've created a segment about it. So segment, whoever wants to go for it.
Yeah, go ahead, B.
All right, so I'm changing up sports. I'm going to the NBA. The thing that I find to be complete and utter hogwash is Joel Embiid. So Joel Embiid is having, by statistically, the best season you could possibly have in the NBA right now. He's super efficient. His field goal percentage. He's scoring a ton of points. He's blocking. He's got rebounds. He's even had 3-pointers. Like, the guy is playing out of his mind every third Tuesday. And so the problem he is running into is that it is barely past the midpoint of the season, and he is only allowed to miss 5 more games before he is ineligible for the MVP in the season where he has played by far the best basketball of his career.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. And of course, the reason I recognize this is got him on my fantasy team, and I'm every time before his game, I got to pull him out. He's like, last minute scratch, Joel Embiid. I'm like, it is absolutely killing me. It is a bunch of hogwash. You're an MVP caliber player. You need to be out on the basketball court. It is sad to think that people will make this argument going forward that, he had the best season. He should have been the MVP. They created this rule because people were sitting out back-to-backs and all these other things.
Yeah.
And he knew it before the end of the season. He knew it last night when he decided to sit out that game when he only had 6 left, and now he's only got 5. It's highly likely he's going to be the alternate MVP, and it's a bunch of hogwash for fans, for the people who have been rooting for him, to see him kind of throw away a season like this.
Damn. Every third Tuesday. Yeah, I don't even have a hogwash segment. I'm just stuck on Brian's, but yeah, I'm good. I don't have anything.
Man. All right, so mine is directed squarely at the San Francisco 49ers and Kansas City Chiefs. Why would you make me watch this? This is the worst. Now, they were the 2 of the best teams, right? 2 of the best teams going in, so I'm gonna give you all that. The teams are great. Here's why. As a football fan, good matchup, right? You got Mahomes, you got the defense, Andy Reid, you got Shanahan, you got Brock Purdy, the best quarterback in the history of the world. You got this offense, which is crazy. You got McCaffrey, Ayuk, all these boys, amazing. However, now for 2 weeks, I get to hear, one, how Brock Purdy's the most hated on man in the world, but he's really the best, or he's the best. I'm just going to back and forth. I'm going to see his childhood dog. I'm going to get to talk to his prom date. I'm going to see all this stuff. Now he's the NFL. He's starting quarterback for the NFC. Nothing but respect. The boys played good. I have no hate for Brock Purdy. I think he's been great. I think, can you benefit from situations? Absolutely. I think Patrick Mahomes benefits from his situations. If he was on the Lions years ago, we don't know. I don't think he's in the NFC Championship every year. Being with Andy Reid, Tyreek, Kelsey, that team definitely has helped, right? in our division, which hasn't been so good, definitely has helped. All that's great. I get to hear about Brock Purdy. I get to hear about Shanahan. I get to hear about Debo, Yippee, all this Kittle again. Oh boy. Then I get to hear Taylor Swift. I get to see her flight path to the game because she has a concert before. Why do I know she has a concert? Because there's footage and conversations around what Taylor Swift is doing all the time because of Kelsey. Dre, sister-in-law, everybody else who's watching these games now because of Taylor Swift. Cool. Great for the NFL. Terrible for me. I do not want to see the Chiefs and the Niners play again. I've already seen this. I saw it, but 4 years ago or whatever, in the stadium for the Raiders. This is the worst. I'm playing golf for sure. I'll be here because I'm sure they're going to watch because they're Niner fans, eating and drinking whatever's here. But man, I hope it ends in a tie.
You don't want Brock Purdy to win the Super Bowl. That's when it's going to be really worse. Really worse.
Bro,
I don't pay attention to Super Bowl hype, but you shouldn't either. But it'll be
Coop,
worse
I'm
if
gonna
he
be,
won.
my honestly, my hogwash until the game probably will be directed at y'all, both teams.
Yeah, I hear you.
The last thing I'm gonna say real quick is that Niner fans and whoever have a lot of hate for other fan bases, Cowboys, etc. Y'all are obnoxious. Y'all are this. Y'all don't know how to win. Y'all do the exact same thing because we're all just regular people that love our teams. Niner fans have been absolutely insufferable since that game, and it's not gonna get better. And if Brock Purdy wins, oh, bro, I'm muting my phone.
Since which game? The Philly game or Dallas? Which one? I don't hear too many Niner fans. That's why.
Game 1. Soon as Brock Purdy threw a pass, the boy's amazing. Look at these deep balls. He overthrows him. It's all right. It wasn't his fault. He loses to the Vikings. Hey,
that sounds like Lamar Jackson, man. That's not Brock Purdy. That sounds like Lamar Jackson.
Well, I'm saying if it could sound like Lamar, if it sounds like Lamar, they do the same thing. How come it only counts for one? Either way, I think Brock is cool. I got no diss. I like his story and all that. I just am upset. I'm gonna have to hear everything about this man ad nauseum for 2
weeks. It would be like having the Detroit Lions and KC play in Minnesota Stadium. I totally understand what you're saying, man.
Bro, okay, it's terrible.
I got a hogwash. I got a hogwash to the Fox camera crew for showing the Detroit Lions crowd in their stadium all the first half, but wouldn't show one clip of them, any footage in the second half when the 49ers were coming back. I don't understand why we only get to see them when they're scoring touchdowns and having big runs and big passes. That's hogwash. If you're going to show them in the first half when they winning, show them in the second half when the other team is coming back or when they lost. I want to see some sad faces. You had no problem showing sad faces when the Dallas Cowboys was losing and you went all over the stadium getting faces. You can't get none for Detroit. That's hogwash. Hogwash.
Yeah. I think Detroit's been through enough. I'm okay with it. All right. So, man, a pleasure, like I said, with you guys. Last segment, minute to win it. We're a chance just to say whatever you want for a little bit. I don't even have one this week. I said enough. Just thanks everybody for listening. You guys go ahead.
Nah, I just thank you guys for doing this show every week with me, and then also 100%. Thank you everybody for listening to the show.
B.
2024 has had its foot lodged up my backside since Jan 1. And it's just been a whole bunch of stuff. And it's nothing like huge, but just like death by 1,000 cuts kind of year. And I collectively have not had as bad a day as one person had today. And so I don't know if anyone who's listening to this saw the news, but today in Delaware, they ruled that Elon Musk's compensation package from 2018, which created 51 or 55, depending on your valuation, $1 billion of his net worth as void. So he lost $55 billion today. I'm sorry, there is not a clown that could make me smile or a piece of cake that could make me feel anything for it. And here's the worst. Well, here's the thing about it. I do not care. I am not feeling bad for him. I just thought it was very interesting that one person could lose 51 or 55, depending on the valuation, $1 billion in a day. And it wasn't because of stock losses. It was because a judge in Delaware said that Tesla and the board had to prove that the compensation was fair, meet the burden of proof, and they couldn't do it. And so Elon Musk lost
Wow.
fair amount of. He's most likely going to be out of the top spot. He's worth like 200 and some odd billion.
Yeah, he's going to be worth
He's
only
only got
150 now.
Only worth 150 billion.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
But but just think about if we lost, any of us lost 25% of our net worth, regardless of what the amount is, we'd be hella pissed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He had a bad day. He had a bad day.
Yeah.
True that.
Anyways.
Sports Counterpoints. We'll catch y'all next week. Thanks for listening. It's January 30th, 2024. Peace.